Charlie Kirk mentor and modern cheerleading creator Jeff Webb has been killed in a pickleball accident. Once again, this is one of the craziest headlines I've seen in recent times. Because not only was he Charlie Kirk's mentor and the creator of modern cheerleading, he died in a pickleball accident.
Almost exactly 6 months since Charlie Kirk was assassinated, he dies in a pickleball accident. And pickleball deaths are so rare in the United States that only 5 have been reported in the last couple of years.
Now let me ask, what are the odds that the same guy would go on to mentor Charlie Kirk from the time he turned 18 until the day he took the hit? It's almost like Trump and his pageants and Jeff and his multi-billion-dollar youth cheer network had something maybe a little trafficky in common. And my gut instinct when I first saw this is like, why is this adult man running a monopoly on a youth sport like
Charlie Kirk's empire just suffered blow. And this time it doesn't sit well with many people because the man who helped build him from the shadows is suddenly gone. And the story being told about it feels like crafted lie. Charlie Kirk's, someone who wasn't just inside Charlie's circle, but was there long before the cameras arrived, is now dead after what's being described as a pickleball accident. And even hearing those words out loud feels off. But before we dive into why people are questioning every detail, you need to know who Charlie Kirk's truly was in this unfolding story. Charlie Kirk's wasn't just businessman with a loose tie to Charlie. He was the founder of Varsity Spirit, the mastermind who transformed cheerleading into a billion-dollar powerhouse, and crucially, he was deeply embedded within powerful donor circles and elite leadership networks.
I'm Jeff Webb, and I'd like to invite you and your squad to participate in one of our camps this summer.
I was only 24 years old at the time and ran the business out of my apartment for the first several years. Had a lot of help from people in this town.
And that's the moment Charlie Kirk's story truly shifted. Charlie Kirk's encountered Charlie when he was still unknown, long before the spotlight ever found him. And according to what's been revealed publicly, Charlie Kirk's quietly guided him, opening doors into rooms filled with wealth, influence, and connections most teenagers could never dream of entering. So, when people call him mentor, they're barely scratching the surface. This was the man who helped construct the very path that Charlie would later rise upon into power for
He was one of Charlie's earliest supporters and helped connect Charlie with all of his billionaire friends when Charlie was only 18 years old to start TPUSA. He knew Charlie well before he met his wife Erica Kirk and knew Donald.
Then, on September 2025, Charlie Kirk was killed during a college speaking event in Utah. And that alone already sent shockwaves through his entire network. And Charlie Kirk's didn't stay quiet after that.
It's been a week of high emotion, but every emotion you can think of, anger, sadness, frustration. It's just been, one of those weeks. It's an incredible loss. I agree with others. I think we probably lost a future president last year.
He openly praised Charlie in interviews, highlighting his character, his growing reach, even predicting that Charlie was destined for something far bigger than anyone had imagined. Then, suddenly, everything takes a darker turn. Only months later, Charlie Kirk's is gone, just like that. And not from anything expected, not from illness, but from a sudden fall during a pickleball match that stunned everyone.
This is wild. Charlie Kirk's mentor died this weekend from a pickleball accident. That's right, Jeff Webb, 76, fell during a casual game of pickleball, sustained a severe head injury 2 weeks ago.
According to reports, Charlie Kirk's was playing casually, nothing intense. Nothing unusual when he fell and hit his head. And that injury was serious enough to put him on life support for about 2 weeks. 2 weeks later, his family made the decision to take him off life support. And that's how this story officially ends. But that's not how people are received.
Possible that this was just some rare and crazy accident? Or did Jeff have some information that some people did not want getting out there?
Pickleball is widely known as a low-impact sport, especially popular among older adults because of how safe it is compared to other activities. And while accidents can happen anywhere, deaths connected to it are extremely rare. Out of all the ways to stage something, I don't think a pickleball accident is the way you're gonna do it. We're talking about numbers so low that most people couldn't name a single case without looking it up. That's just a low, I don't even want to say low IQ, but low educated understanding.so. Now you've got someone who is not only connected to a high-profile figure, but directly tied to his early development, dying in one of the least expected ways possible. And this person said what we're all thinking. When I first read this, I thought this was a joke. Who TF dies from pickleball? 1 out of 328 million Americans, apparently. And Charlie Kirk's wasn't just a random associate. He was someone who had access and knew how things were built. And when someone like that suddenly dies, people start asking questions, even if there are no official answers. People that are looking into it are saying having more information about the role he played in Charlie's life. The fact that there were no witnesses and the fact his family took him off life support does make it a little suspicious. Now, to be clear, nothing has been confirmed beyond the accident itself, and there's no verified evidence proving anything beyond what's already been reported. But that hasn't stopped the speculation. That's why everyone is asking the same thing. Was there actually anything Charlie Kirk knew that might have been damaging to Turning Point USA or any of their partners? Some people are calling it a coincidence, and others are claiming that Charlie Kirk might have been part of the problem himself, writing, "He and his company were problematic, another entity that attracts young women like modeling and pageants." And this is where things start getting uncomfortable, because once Charlie Kirk's name started trending again, people didn't just stop at the accident, they started digging into his past. And what came up is exactly why this situation is getting way more attention than it normally.
What are the odds that Jeffrey Epstein would want to be friends with a guy who is associated with high school cheerleaders?
There have already been lawsuits filed against Varsity Spirit, the company Jeff built.
Another lawsuit now filed against cheer company Varsity Spirit. The suit includes new allegations of
Some of those claims are serious. Like, we're talking allegations that minors involved in the cheerleading system were exposed to unsafe environments. Those cases have been floating around for a while. But what's making people look at it differently now is how those allegations line up with the type of environment Charlie Kirk was controlling.
Conspired to recklessly, intentionally, and willfully endanger plaintiffs by exposing minor athletes to illegal sex.
And Jeff wasn't just involved, he basically had a monopoly over that entire space.
And my gut instinct when I first saw this is like, why is this adult man running a monopoly on a youth sport like cheer? What is it about cheerleading that drew Jeff Webb in and made him want to take over complete control?
This is like a 3-day experience. These kids come in, they warm up, many stay right here in one of the hotels at Disney.
According to this user, he was even in the Epstein files. "I took matters into my own hands." And sure enough, one Charlie Kirk's web search produces 4 hits in the files. And then there's a whole side of the internet that believes this wasn't random at all, but something meant to send a message to anyone still connected to that circle. Someone wrote, "This freak accidental death will act as a warning shot to everyone else who knows and operates inside the Tapusa circle." But someone else said, "I believe the government is actually covering up pickleball deaths." And that's the real scandal here. Whether you believe those theories or not, the pattern is what's keeping this story alive, especially since even Charlie himself died right after he started speaking out against these issues. This is a beast created by secular Jews. And now it's coming for Jews. And they're like, what on earth happened? And it's not just the colleges, it's the nonprofits, it's the movies, it's Hollywood, it's all of it, duh. That's exactly why people aren't settling for the freak accident label. Because the explanation is way too clean for a situation that messy. Now, people aren't just asking how he died. They're looking at what he knew, who he was around, and why everything tied to that circle keeps ending with more questions instead of answers. Because at this point, it's not just about one fall on a pickleball court anymore. And the deeper you look into everyone who was moving in that same space at the time, the harder it is to believe this was just bad luck.